I'd like to talk about one of my favorite books, Gerald's Game. Viewer discretion is advised. It is a Stephen King book. In other words, it is very, very messed up. Some things I'm going to talk about will be unpleasant, but I think this is very important to understanding the villains of the book and their significance. If you are struggling with mental health, please call 988 if you're in America. First, I'm going to talk about the one reason everyone talks about this book, or the movie, The Moonlight Man. If you've seen the movie, you know who the Moonlight Man is. As much as I don't like the movie, they nailed the voice of the Moonlight Man. The Moonlight Man is a serial killer who defiles graves. But I mean, according to Stephen King, that's your average person in the state of Maine. What makes the Moonlight Man so terrifying and such an interesting villain is really the fact that you don't know whether or not he's real. Jesse, the main character, is established to have little internal monologues, more on them later, but this means there's plausible explanation for this monstrously disproportionate man. She's also, not been eating for like a day or two at this point, so, and she's dehydrated, so hallucinations are possible. Furthermore, he never does anything. This serves two purposes. First, it codifies the idea that he might not be real. Second, it makes him so much scarier when you learn that he is real. Because this means he was just standing there watching Jessie without doing anything, toying with her, knowing that she needed help and just not doing anything, instead enjoying watching the grotesque show, I guess you would call it. And third, yes, I know I said two, but I lied. The Moonlight Man's silence helps differentiate him from the space cowboy, because the space cowboy is very talkative. What really solidifies him as a cool villain for me is the scene in court where he repeats Jesse's words back to her, mainly when he repeats that she said he was only made of moonlight. The movie perfectly captured his dreamy, childish voice. Also, while researching, I learned there's a theory that the dog in the movie was the Moonlight Man the whole time. This is very disturbing, but does not work for the book. So we're all just going to pretend like that's not a thing, and not imagine Gerald getting eaten in front of Jesse. The second villain I want to talk about is Gerald. Yes, Gerald is a villain, and yes, he is more disturbing in the book. I have no idea why they picked the hottest old guy to play Gerald. In the book, Gerald is a flabby older man, not a model for elderly cologne. But that's neither here nor there. What makes Gerald a good villain, at least in the book, is his clear attempt at assault. In the book, Gerald and Jesse have been to the cabin many times to spice things up. So, A, it's less weird in the context, and B, their relationship is in more dire straits in the book, versus in the movie where this is the first time they're doing this, which is just weird. Like, go to couples therapy. Back to Gerald. Gerald is a monster because he, attempts assault. It's very clear in the book that he knows what he's doing and just doesn't care. Cool. We've talked about Gerald and the Moonlight Man. Case closed. We can leave. We can pack it up. We can call it a day. Two solid, interesting villains from a interesting book. Right? Yeah, no. We still need to talk about the satellite voices and the space cowboy. Whether or not these are real villains is up for debate. They are Jessie's internal thoughts. The satellite voices are strange alien thoughts that pop into her head. They're all pretty unique with different personalities. It is a shame they are not in the film. The space cowboy is a whole different beast. The space cowboy is a nightmarish reaper, a twisted version of the Moonlight Man. The space cowboy is important, as it is the blending of Jesse's dreams and realities. It represents death, but is also the force that motivates Jessie to free herself. Okay. Now this is where things get actually interesting. The previous villains I've talked about in this video, while important and interesting, are not, in my opinion, the scariest thing in the book. In my opinion, the scariest thing in this book isn't a hungry, mangy dog. It isn't the threat of dehydration. It isn't Gerald's disgusting carnal urges. It isn't the nightmarish visions of the space cowboy. It isn't even the Moonlight Man with his mortuary assistant's bag made from human skin and full of infant bones and jewelry. No. The scariest thing in this book is Jesse's father, Tom Mayhoot. There are disturbing horror movie characters, and then there's Tom Mayhoot. Tom, in my opinion, is the main antagonist of the book. Most of the book is dedicated to Jesse's struggles with her own internal monologue, something that you learn resulted from Tom's disgusting actions. Tom is a monster, not only for what he did to Jesse, but also because of how he manipulated her into thinking it was her fault. The moment when he gets her to swear to not tell anyone what he did is one of the single most vile things any character in a fiction novel has ever done. Even worse, Tom knows what he did wrong. When manipulating Jesse, he looks straight at her when telling her what to do, but only looks away when he has to admit that he did something wrong. And Jesse even points out that it's funny how he could only look away when telling the truth. He knows what he did wrong, and that makes him so much more of a monster. He can only look at her when he spews all of his lies, but when he actually says the truth, he can't look at her. Now let's circle back to the Moonlight Man, because he is important to the story. Why? Because Tom won. Tom Mayhew got away with his disgusting, vile act. He ruined his daughter's life for a long time after he was dead and gone. And he got away with all of it. This is why the Moonlight Man is important. When Jessie confronts him in the courtroom, she stands up to the new face of her nightmares, but in a much deeper way, she stands up to her old nightmares. She faces her fear. She faces her father. She faces Tom. I really appreciate how in the movie the Moonlight Man's face shifted from Tom's to Gerald's to the Moonlight Man's in the courtroom confrontation. Actually, let's stop this for a moment. It's time for everyone's favorite game show. Watch a man on the internet get irrationally angry over other people's opinions. That's right. Today, I'm gonna do a little bit of a rant. People have been saying, as I was trying to research for this video, people were expressing disappointment at the end of the movie, specifically the courtroom scene. They think it's tacked on and needless. They would rather have the Moonlight Man remain a mystery and have whether or not he's real be this unknown. And while sure, that might work for the movie, I didn't actually watch the movie. I read the book, and it does not work at all. Let me tell you why. It's important. First, the movie messed up by not differentiating enough between the space cowboy, or the figment of the Moonlight Man in Jesse's imagination, and the actual Moonlight Man. The two blended together, which never led to people thinking of the possibility that the Moonlight Man might be partially real and partially imagined, like he is in the book, with the space cowboy being the imagined parts and the Moonlight Man being the real thing. So why does the ending work? Why does the ending work so well, in my opinion? Put simply, the ending ties Jesse's entire story together. Without it, she doesn't have an arc. When she stands up to the Moonlight Man, in that final moment, she gets closure. She affirms that she is not crazy. She essentially stands up to the trauma of what Tom put her through. It is very important and pivotal to her character. Without it, she has no arc. Sure, it might seem like it's less impactful from a movie standpoint, but from a storytelling standpoint from the book, removing that ending would be paramount to neutering the entire story, because without it, you simply don't have any character growth from Jessie. She would have survived only because of her own fear, and that would have put her right back at square one, where she would still be afraid, not having shown any character development whatsoever. So, to the people who are disappointed, I don't know what to tell you. It's, in my opinion, one of the best endings, especially because in the book, you don't get that corny line of her going, "You're so small," or whatever BS she says in the movie. Now, in the book, she spits in his face and gets fined for it in an amazing scene that is very cathartic. It's so much better in the book. And I think that's what people are missing. People see the movie and go, oh, well, it'd be better if he wasn't real, because then if the ambiguity was there, it would heighten the mystery. But the point isn't the mystery. The reason why the book is amazing isn't because of the Moonlight Man, it's because of Jessie. She's an intriguing character, and the way she deals with her trauma is very interesting. The Moonlight Man is simply a vessel through which she experiences it, or is forced to at least reevaluate it. The real villain is Tom, not the Moonlight Man. So the Moonlight Man needs to be real so she can have the closure to her story with Tom. Without it, there is no story, because Jessie would not be as much, would be less of a character, if that makes any sense. Okay. Rant over. Furthermore, the experience in the cabin caused her to finally share her trauma. In my opinion, Tom Mayhew stands as one of the most frightening antagonists because of just how real he is. He's not a boogeyman, he's not some eldritch being, he's a human, and a frightfully believable one. If you haven't read Gerald's Game, I would recommend it. It is a fantastic book. Stephen King is a great author, and he makes the plot of being stuck in bed terrifying. I know that's a gross exaggeration of what the actual plot is, but you get the point. Thanks for watching. I have some scripts I've been working on, so those will come up soon. Sorry.